November 1963. President John F. Kennedy is assassinated in Dallas, Texas. It's a moment that freezes America in time, but across the world, other gears were already turning. In Israel, a new leader, Levi Eshkol, had just taken power. He replaced the nation's founding father, David Ben-Gurion, a man locked in a tense standoff with Kennedy. What was it about? A mysterious nuclear reactor in the desert at Dimona. Since 1961, Kennedy had been pushing, demanding inspections. The White House was convinced Israel was secretly building a nuclear bomb, and Kennedy was determined to stop it. This wasn't just a disagreement. It was a high-stakes confrontation between two allies, one that threatened to boil over. Then, in June 1963, right in the middle of this pressure campaign, David Ben-Gurion abruptly resigned. The official story was personal reasons, but the timing was suspicious. His departure handed the reins to Levi Eshkol, a man who needed time to find his footing. This pause, this leadership vacuum, was exactly what Israel needed. It created a breathing room, a space to maneuver away from Washington's prying eyes while the Dimona project continued, shrouded in secrecy. Meanwhile, back in the United States, something strange was happening at a nuclear facility in Pennsylvania called NUMEC. Hundreds of pounds of highly enriched uranium, the stuff of bombs, had simply vanished. The company's founder had strong connections to Israel. While no one ever proved a direct link, the FBI and CIA had their suspicions. Did a piece of America's nuclear arsenal secretly end up in the Middle East? The question hung in the air, unanswered. The year 1963 was pivotal for another reason. In Washington, a new organization was born, AIPAC, the American Israel Public Affairs Committee. It started small, but it was destined to become one of the most powerful lobbying forces in American politics. Its founding, in the very same year of Kennedy's death and the escalating tensions over Dimona, is a striking coincidence in a story full of them. Kennedy wasn't just battling foreign leaders, he was facing a storm at home. During the Cuban Missile Crisis in 1962, he had secretly promised to remove U.S. missiles from Turkey to get Soviet missiles out of Cuba. To the public, it looked like a decisive victory. But behind closed doors, military hardliners like General Curtis LeMay thought Kennedy had been weak, that he'd backed down. The rift between the White House and the Pentagon was growing wider and more dangerous. Kennedy was seen as a man of restraint in a room full of men itching for a fight. And then Dallas. The assassination of John F. Kennedy changed everything. The new president, Lyndon B. Johnson, quickly formed the Warren Commission to investigate. But look who was on it. Allen Dulles, the very CIA director Kennedy had fired. Gerald Ford, who would later become president. Powerful figures with their own agendas. Critics immediately saw a massive conflict of interest. Even members of the commission privately doubted the official story of a lone gunman. But when the final report came out, it presented a unified, simple conclusion that many found hard to believe. The truth, it seemed, was being managed. Who was Lyndon Johnson? His power base was built on a network of wealthy Texas businessmen, the Brown brothers of Brown and Root, a company that would later merge into Halliburton. Oil tycoons like Clint Murchison. This was a world where oil, politics, and defense contracts all flowed together. As Johnson escalated the war in Vietnam, defense spending exploded. Billions of dollars poured into the very companies connected to his rise to power. The military-industrial complex that President Eisenhower had warned about wasn't just a theory anymore. It was thriving under LBJ. 4 years later, in 1967, the Middle East erupted. The Six-Day War saw Israel achieve a stunning military victory against Egypt, Jordan, and Syria. In less than a week, it captured vast territories, redrawing the map of the region forever. This time, there was no hesitation from the White House. Johnson's administration provided crucial weapons and support, cementing a new, ironclad alliance between the U.S. and Israel. The nuclear question that had so worried Kennedy was now overshadowed by a powerful military partnership. So, let's connect the dots. Kennedy's pressure on Israel's nuclear program, Ben-Gurion's sudden resignation, the missing uranium from NUMEC, the birth of AIPAC, the internal battles with military leaders, the controversial Warren Commission, Johnson's rise, fueled by the military-industrial complex, and finally, the Six-Day War. What we see is not a series of random events, but a chain reaction, a seismic shift from Kennedy's policy of nuclear caution to Johnson's era of military expansion, from suspicion and pressure to an unbreakable alliance. The assassination of John F. Kennedy wasn't just the tragic death of a president, it was a hinge point in history, a moment that fundamentally altered the course of American foreign policy and power. The echoes of those turbulent years in the 1960s are all around us, still shaping the world we live in today. Thanks for watching. If you found this journey into the hidden history of the 1960s as fascinating as I did, make sure to hit that like button and subscribe for more deep dives into the stories that define our world. We'll see you in the next one.